Professor over at The Athletic. Speaking of spoiling the game, I just did let our audience know there were two games that Jason Jones was in attendance at. Games number 5, games number 7.
Wow.
You looking at me like I'm the one who didn't play Davion Mitchell in the game 7.
Okay, well let's get into that. Are you of the belief that Mike Brown didn't have his best outing on Sunday?
Yeah, I think some of the criticisms are fair. I think the fact that might have been one of the easiest 50 balls I've seen a guy get in a while, and Davion had proven that he had been at least annoying to Steph. I think it's a fair criticism. I don't think it's the end of the world by any stretch. I don't think, we're not in New York. No one's going to call for Mike Brown to be fired over it. But, I think once you get past the euphoria of, yay, we made the playoffs, that feeling, there's some things to look at the series and kind of go, man, what if, we're up 2-0 with games and even still had game 7 and home and didn't win the series.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think there are some things to kind of look back and say, well, what could you have, what do you do differently? And I think a lot of it is there's not nearly the same level of like heat or criticism on the team just because, well, they ain't been in the playoffs in forever. But I think if this were next year, the tone would be a whole lot different. You're up 2-0 and you're going into a game 3 with 2 of their top 8 guys out. Mm-hmm. With a chance to go up 3-0 and you don't win that series, and you lose your last 2 home games. I think there is, if we want to get into that, there is some things to look at and wonder, well, what could you have done differently? But I think right now, folks are just so happy the Kings made the playoffs.
Well, it's a fair criticism to say they lost their last 2 home games, but you do got to note they did win in one of the better home court advantages in the entire league in between the 2.
Yeah. There's no disputing that, but they're also up 2-0 with a chance to go up 3-0. And I think even after the game, Davion said, you look back, that's the moment where you go, man, we had a chance to really knock them out and we didn't. Part of that, they'd never been there before. Part of it could be experience, like De'Aaron said. A lot of those guys hadn't been through that before. So it's a learning experience. Like I said, if this is 2024 and they're up 2-0 on somebody with home court advantage and don't finish it, I think the tone's going to be a whole lot different.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely will. And then talked about this yesterday, but that being up 2-0 and then coming back, we see it a lot of time in these series. I understand that, but you had an opportunity to just win one of those. And I looked at that Sunday game with Harrison Barnes' shot is, man, it didn't end the series by any means, but that was a missed opportunity, not getting one of those games in San Francisco because you were good enough. And I thought in that game 4, I thought they played well. And just little things towards the end of the game. They had, 3 or 4 possessions where they were down 1 and they ended up being empty possessions. Just little things like that. It was a little frustrating. That game 4 was tough in hindsight. Well,
the Warriors beat them with the little things. You look at games 4 through 7, the ones the Kings, they lost in the little things. I think I can't erase from my memory in game 5, Gary Payton II weaving his way through Kings for offensive putbacks.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Game 7, Kevon Looney becomes Moses Malone in the third quarter and grabs every, and like I said, De'Aaron spoke about the game. Those are the things that Mike Brown harped on them all year. It's the little things that they were casual with during the year that eventually got them. So if you're the Kings, you're hopeful that having experienced this and realizing just how vital those things are, even realizing, hey, guess what? We can play defense. It doesn't have to be an option. We can do it and still play our style. You hope all that carries over into next season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mike again talked about that today. He talked about, if there's something that's going to haunt him, it's the offensive rebounds. And that's one thing that Casey and I talked about is, as you noted, it was like those problems weren't problems that popped up in game 7 or game 5 or in this series. They're things that Mike has tried to correct all year long. And you would see moments where he would talk about Keegan having, 3 rebounds or Keegan having 0 rebounds or somebody having 0 rebounds. And then you'd see this big impulse to get out there and correct that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would kind of go back. And then it was something Mike was trying to correct all year. And then you get in the playoffs and all of a sudden you're doing fine in the first half. In the second half, again, Kevon, Moses, Malone, Looney beat you on the boards.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where sometimes you got to go through it to figure it out. And, a coach can say it repeatedly, and it's tough to drill that in when you're having the best regular season in almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, we're not doing that right, but guess what? We're third in the West. Guess what? We're winning a lot. We're winning more games here than we've won, in almost 20 years. But I think now you go into the next season, you go into this off season, the expectation level is different. Guys have now experienced it and say, we want to get back there and we want to do better. So I think sometimes that's what it takes. I've heard it was crazy. It's going to sound crazy, but I remember a few years ago, the year that they finished 9th, but they were like 9 games out of 8. And I was actually talking to our friend Buddy Hield.
Good friend.
And Buddy said back then he thought it would be great for that group just to get in and feel it and experience it, to motivate them going forward. That's part of the reason why he was so disappointed they missed the playoffs. He just thought it would be a good thing if they could just get in, and even if they got smashed, now you know what it takes to get there. Now you can build on it. It's ironically, but now doesn't Buddy lead the league in active games played without making the playoffs now?
I think so.
Poor Buddy.
Buddy Abdur-Rahim.
Poor Buddy. Hate to see it.
Sharif Hield.
Oh, man. You leave my fellow Cal Golden Bear out of this. That's California Golden Bear legend Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
He is a legend. I was one of the first guys I remember leaving after freshman year. Before popular, he was the truth. But yeah, great experience. What do you think that this series could potentially do for a guy like Sabonis? Where we know we'll talk about Fox and what it could do for him with his confidence, but Sabonis, there were some weaknesses to his game exposed, and he struggled in this series. How do you think he goes into this summer and tries to kind of accept what happened in this series and build off of it and try to make sure it doesn't happen again?
I don't know. I think part of it is there's just some physical limitations. I mean, Sabonis is a center, but you look at him physically next to a guy like Looney. Sabonis don't like a big guy. I mean, there probably are things he can do. You do have to wonder how much the hand by the end of the year might have affected his ability to grab the ball sometime. I don't know. That's just me speculating. But I think some of it is just maybe, you got to get craftier, And I think the thing that kind of caught my eye too was, when Mike mentioned about complaining to the officials, it's like that's a mental thing. If you haven't gotten the same call for 5 games, just play. You got to play through it. And I look at De'Aaron. De'Aaron figured it out and was like, okay, this is what it is. Let's go. Yeah, we're gonna mix it up. Let's mix it up. You can see guys. You can see a guy like Davion like that. You can see guys where they were like, even Malik, you can see Malik was like, okay, yeah, this is what it's about right here. And Sabonis has to get to that as well. And maybe part of that is also helping him, whether it be scheme-wise, maybe you got to move him around to free him up on offense in those situations, or also personnel. Maybe you need to get another rebounder next to him to help him. Because I think a lot of us knew going through the regular season that, with all those double-doubles he was piling up. I know I said it more than once. If he gets a physical big guy in the paint in the playoffs, he could have problems. And even though he had games where his numbers looked okay, he just wasn't impactful the way they needed him to be impactful to win. Even though they won in Game 6, where it was probably his worst game. He just wasn't. It wasn't the impact that they needed from him. So I think some of it's personnel, some of it's him. So it's a mix. It's a mix. But Sabonis has been through the playoffs before. It's not like this is his first time going through it. But he also had a rugged guy like Miles Turner next to him to help him out. So maybe the Kings have to, kind of like we said about De'Aaron for years. Maybe you got to get somebody next to Sabonis to help him out.
Where's the most growth that you think needs to occur with this team headed into next season?
defense and details. I think they clearly got to get better on defense. I mean, I still don't see a pathway toward advancing in the playoffs when you're like 29th and 30th in multiple categories. And I just think the details. I mean, when you look at this series, it's not boxing out a guy here. It's not grabbing an offensive rebound. It's a bad offensive possession at the wrong time. Not running the stuff that you've run all year. All of a sudden you want to go one-on-one with Andrew Wiggins. It's stuff. It's the details, and that's to me. That's honestly stuff they had to go through. To me, specifically De'Aaron. And I don't mean to say that De'Aaron had a bad series. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying your best players have to be able to go through that. And I love the fact that he was like, I embraced the physicality. I understand that a jumper in game 20 is not the same as a jumper in the playoffs. A jumper in game 70 is not the same. I love that for him. I love the fact, that he just, he gets it. I've always said he's a smart player, but to hear him just kind of, now that I've been through it, and they also got to see this too. Even though they lost by 20 in game 7, they were right. It's a thin line between them playing today and being at home. It wasn't like they got run out the gym. They didn't lose in 4. So there's definitely a lot to build from. They got to get better in some of those areas, just like, maturity areas in terms of experience when it comes to the details. And some of it, I think, is personnel. You got to get another rebounder in there, and another rebounder, or you got to have some guards who can come in and help out. Because I mean, Sabonis was getting beat up, and there was no one there to help him.
How do I put this? I was asked earlier, would you take somebody that would make you better on defense, make you a better defensive team, but take away from your offense? Or would you try to go a little further in on what you're able to do on the offensive team? If you're Monty McNair, which one would you look at? Somebody that would take away from your offense, but make you a better defensive team. Say like I'm just throwing out a name like Isaac Okoro. Like, he can't shoot a lick, but he's probably a better perimeter defender. Would you take him? Or I think Kuz is a better defender too, but Kyle Kuzma.
I take the guy who can play some defense. He's probably going to cost a little less. And they can score. I mean, unless they go get 3 guys who can't shoot and start them, they're not going to have a problem scoring. I mean, unless they go get put Dylan Brooks at the 2 and get like the new version of Andre Robertson at the 3, or something like that, or get like Rudy Gobert at the 5. It's like 3 non-offensive players. They're going to score fine. And even then, if you add a defensive player or 2, you can always sub them out and go for some offense when you need it. But I don't think they're going to have a problem scoring. I just think they need some some junkyard dogs, some guys who don't mind getting dirty and getting in the mud and falling on the ground, fighting for loose balls, blocking shots, taking charges, all that stuff. They got offense covered. I don't worry about them scoring at all. I think like I said, unless they did a crazy, this ridiculous overhaul to change the philosophy, which would make no sense. Go out and get you a good 3-and-D type guy to go in the mix, and I think they've got enough on offense to where they could cover for it.
There's a report from Ramona Shelburne that Dylan Brooks asked for $25 million.
See, that's why I would say under no circumstances.
$25 million over what, 3 years or what?
No.
Even if it was over 25 years.
25.
I'd say no.
$25 million per year.
Oh, he want that Jordan Poole money.
Well, there's reports that's Austin Reeves money coming into the offseason.
Well, hey, I'll roll with it. Hey, but Austin Reeves don't poke bears.
Oh, you better help.
Hey, I mean, if you're Dylan Brooks, you're probably sitting around going, hey, I'm as valuable to you as Jordan Poole was to the Warriors. Why can't I get that money? I mean, it never hurts to ask.
No, it doesn't hurt to ask. That's right. Doesn't mean you're going to get it.
I mean, I can't be mad at the man for asking. I mean, he's probably figuring
What do you think about this series that starts tonight with your Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors?
I like the Lakers for the same reason I would have liked them if they were playing the Kings. I just think their size up front is going to be the difference. I don't
Mhm.
know how tonight's going to go. Sometimes you see where a team coming off a game 7 has a little momentum still rolling from just having won, and sometimes those guys come out and look dead. You just know. Yeah, I don't know what you're going to get. I think it's a 6 or a 7 game series. I think Steph is going to get the Warriors at least 2 by when I think you get to LA, LeBron or AD will get them, and I just think up front the Lakers are just going to have a little too much length, over the course of the series. I mean, AD right now was trying to be Bill Russell. I mean, about that last Memphis game, he's like blocking reverse layups, like going like, no, you can't even reverse layup on me.
Mm.
I mean, and that was just a weird thing about Memphis. They just kept like, you know what? We're going to keep on trying this go right at Anthony Davis technique to see what it gets us. And it got him, I had never seen a team block that many shots over us in a series.
Yeah, I
But I
think
think I like the Lakers. I like the Lakers in the series.
I think the Lakers are going to win too. I think like you talked about, the size is going to be an issue, and I also feel like the Warriors emptied the tank to get out of this first round. I think they're going to be running on E. We talked about
Yeah.
I kind of touched on it a little bit, but they got like, what I learned at the end of that series is they got like 4 guys that Steve Kerr trusts. 4
Yeah.
guys. He don't even want to play some of these other guys.
Yeah. And I think depth matters. I think you're seeing that with Phoenix. Everyone said, "Oh, they got these 4 guys." They don't care who the 5th guy is. And when you see they're playing KD 44 minutes a game to get out of a series against the Clippers without Kawhi and Paul George,
Mm.
don't
Yeah.
tell me depth doesn't matter. Don't tell me that CP had leaving the game the way he did, that he's not being overextended.
Mm.
I mean, depth matters, and the Warriors aren't a very deep. I thought the Kings had the Warriors beaten depth. The Warriors are not a deep team. Like you said, they got their core guys. When one of the guys they trust is older and hurt, and that's Andre. And so you got Steph, Clay, Draymond, Looney, and then you just, I think I would throw Wiggins in there. I think they got 5 guys they trust. Then after that, it's kind of like, what Jordan Poole do you get this day? You don't know what Dante is going to be. I mean, Kaminga's like glued to the bench.
Mm.
They use Moody a little bit. But I just think the Lakers, since that trade, those trades, it's just a different team than the one that you saw in October, November, December.
We probably didn't devote enough time to the Suns
Yeah,
last night. Like, that
jeez.
was a struggle. Like, you mentioned KD. KD took 27 to get 24.
Oof.
That is
And then
crazy.
obviously the story, this Chris
Yeah.
Paul thing
Yeah.
again in the
Mhm.
postseason.
I have to excuse my kids. It's one of the kids' birthdays, so they're pretty hyped right now.
Oh, happy
They turned
birthday.
up. That's all right.
Yeah, air
I
horns for
haven't even given them any Mountain Dew or anything.
which one is it?
Just the
Whose
youngest
birthday?
one is Kendrick.
Kendrick's birthday. Air horns for Kendrick. There you go. Happy birthday,
He did
Kendrick.
ask me, "Was I going to tell you all that it was his birthday?"
Happy birthday,
Happy
Kendrick.
birthday. Yeah.
And
That's
true to being my son, he said what he wants for his birthday is one of his gifts. He wants the Lakers to win tonight.
Wow.
Oh, I thought for sure it was something wrestling related.
No,
Like,
that's the oldest.
he wants the new big gold belt.
No, that's the oldest. No, the youngest one. As he puts it, I don't care about the other teams, only when the Lakers are playing.
He sounds like a Warriors fan.
Hey, he's 9.
He probably knows more
He's got
basketball
these
than some
Warrior
Warriors
fans are
fans.
29 and feeling the same way.
Yeah.
They're 29.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I was watching that game last night, going, man, the Suns are hurting.
Yeah, so the Suns are hurting for sure. I don't know about you. I don't want to speak for yourself. I'll just speak for myself. Did I just completely overlook the Nuggets?
Probably.
I think we all did.
I've liked I've said all year, outside of the Nuggets, the West was basically toss it up, and everyone looked at me crazy. I think part of it was, for a lot of people, kind of like Jokic fatigue. Like, oh, here we go again. You guys are hyping him up, and before they were like, a 4 or 6 seed when he won MVP. It's like now the year he wins the West, or they win the regular season in the West, he's probably going to finish second or third in the voting, which is not like embarrassment, but I mean, I probably like Aaron Gordon more than most people.
He's having a good run here.
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. It's just been health with him.
Yeah,
and Jamal. I mean, part of it is some of their key guys are just kind of hitting. Like Jamal Murray was Michael Jordan on game 1, and then he was me for most of game 2. It was like, what is this?
That's probably part of the whole Nuggets thing is we were never really sure what we were going to get from Michael Porter Jr. or Jamal Murray. And I think, you said that if this is what we're getting, game 2 notwithstanding the 0 for 9 from 3, and I think the 10 points from Jamal Murray, they're legit. Like, they're a team we would have been talking about all season had, Jamal Murray been on point all season, had we seen, Michael Porter around the entire time. I think we would have talked about them differently. I do agree with you about the Jokic thing, though, because it feels like they keep talking to us about how great Jokic is, but yet you've got all of these playoff eliminations behind you, and you don't, you hold other stars, like you held Giannis to like this, ridiculously high standard where he won a couple of MVPs, and you say, well, it doesn't matter if he doesn't win a title, and then he goes and wins a title. And so Jokic is kind of in the same boat. It's like he's already won MVPs that will somehow be more validated if he goes and wins a title.
Yeah, and the thing is, he doesn't have a second All-Star. He doesn't have Chris. I think you do the Giannis comp. Giannis had Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. Last year, Jokic didn't even have Jamal Murray. Was it last year? I mean, Murray missed his two best offensive players are guys who were injured a lot. Whether it be Murray, who was injured, or Porter has been going in and out. So I think a lot of people. I was surprised how many folks were picking the Suns to beat them. I was just like, the Suns don't have enough players. I don't feel they have enough players, and you're asking KD, and it's funny, you're talking about LeBron's age. Steph isn't young anymore. KD's not young, You're asking
to think about really that KD.
Yeah, it's crazy how long you're asking, are you going to really ask KD at this? And KD hasn't played a lot of basketball in the last year or so. People forget that too. He's been hurt.
So basketball like the last 3 years.
Yeah. So you're asking him to now be this guy to go out and be like 2017, 28. That's a lot to ask of him. Yeah. He's only been a Sun for like 2 months. And even then, he played in 8 games in the regular season?
Yeah, they won all of them. That's what got us. They were like 8-0. Like,
here they come. And it's like that, And then what I liked was that first game where Tyronn Lue changed his lineup, with the rationale being, these guys don't even know each other. Let's see if I throw a wrinkle, what'll happen. They look discombobulated that first half.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, man, we didn't plan for this. So I just don't think Phoenix has enough depth. And if Chris Paul's going to be out for a while, who knows? But they say groin tightness. That's just a step away from a tear. I'm not a doctor, but,
groin tightness probably hits a little bit different at 38 than at 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just not gonna say, hey, go ahead, throw me back in the game. They're like, no, you make a wrong turn on this, we've lost you until training camp.
Yeah.
I remember AD tried to play on that thing. Was it 2021?
Oh yeah, that was all bad.
It was like, oh God, just get him off the court. He's trying. Chris ain't doing that.
Chris, you don't have to.
No, you don't have to, bro.
You don't do that.
You don't need to end your career like that.
Yeah, let Elfrid Payton handle it.
Before we get out of here.
It was campaign. My bad.
Yeah. Campaign. That's not a good look.
You guys just got good. Be humble.
We were talking about
LeBron's in-game beefs are second to none. Sorry,
what he
go
did
ahead.
to the Grizzlies. That was a year ago. That was an old one from the Grizzlies, but that was still cold.
Oh yeah,
that was cold. We were talking about potential national TV games and all this other stuff because of the ratings that happened for the first round with the Kings and the Warriors, broke records that we hadn't seen in 23 years or whatever for the first round. Do you think the Kings are in line for a Christmas Day game?
They should be. I mean, they should be. I mean, they would let 10, 12 teams play on Christmas.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't put them in the Warriors on Christmas unless they decide they want to do Lakers Warriors. But even then, you could do Lakers, I mean, I think there's like some legacy teams that always get a Christmas game. You got the Lakers are going to be on Christmas. The Knicks will be on Christmas. The Celtics will be on Christmas. And probably and the Warriors. So that's like 6 slots open now. Who do you want? Do you figure a Philly will get in there? And I think before I would have maybe said the Grizzlies would be one of them, but who knows what they're going to look like, what they're going to do. But I'd have no problem. I don't think anybody would with Kings Warriors on Christmas Day. I mean, it'd be be a nice travel day for everyone to still see the family. Go home after the game instead of having to go as I've done before on a holiday. Spend Christmas night in a hotel.
I think it'd be here.
I think it'd be here.
Unless the Warriors win. If the Warriors win, I don't think it would be. Would I go? Yeah.
I don't think I'd go.
I think I'd go. Christmas Day game, yeah, for sure.
I don't think
I wouldn't go. No.
You gotta remember, I don't have a family. It's not like I can go. It's fine.
That sounds terrible.
I know. I don't
remember. I'm lonely. I do something.
No one's, unless Sprout looking at me, Dad, where you going? Like, that's about it.
My kids would be like, "You're going where? Or do what?" They're like, "Dad, the Lakers are on TV. Why are you leaving?"
I see.
Yeah, see, that just sound. I feel really sad now the way you said that. Like, gotta remember.
I went to when they played the Mavericks on Christmas at Arco. I went to that game. It was fine. Like it didn't ruin Christmas or nothing. But I was also like 18, 19, so
yeah,
I didn't have no kids.
See, now it's like you're going. It's like work. Like if I could go to a Christmas game where I didn't have to work, that's different. But if I go to a game now, I'm still like, hey, so what do you write? I want to write. I just want to go to the game. So yeah, I mean, if I could like go to LA for like, say it was Laker Kings in LA on Christmas and I wasn't working, I'd do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But I mean, them tickets would probably be crazy. So now I'm cool.
But they'd never make the King travel. Like the Lakers are gonna play at Crypto on Christmas Day.
Didn't they play in Dallas on Christmas Day? I mean, they've been on the road.
Did they?
Yeah, they played in Dallas.
That's another team that doesn't need to be on Christmas.
They don't need to be on there.
Dallas
Come on, everyone loves a good soap opera. Kyrie might boycott the game. Who knows?
They even made Kobe travel one time on Christmas. I remember in Chicago one time.
That probably has more to do with the crypto availability than them wanting to make the Lakers travel.
Mariah Carey Christmas special was that crypto
she make new NBA CBA numbers off of All I Want for Christmas. She make like $10 million a year off that.
Yeah, she makes crazy money off that single song. Jay, we appreciate you as always. You got anything cooking over at the Athletic we should know about?
Not this week. I'm off this week, so I'm about to go out of town tomorrow. So
okay.
So maybe sometime next week, got some stuff. I got a cool little Mother's Day story that's going to come out, when I get back in town. But yeah, this week I'll be chilling. I'm not,
enjoy it.
He does have something out right now. You got something out on Fox, right?
Yeah. I wrote that after the game on Sunday. But yeah, that's out. And I noticed this too. The numbers on your stories are much different when you're writing about a team that wins.
Yeah, we can attest to that.
Business, wow. I'm like, it wasn't like this a couple of years ago, man.
People like to consume content about winners. That's
no one wants to read about loss number 57.
That's it. Jay, we appreciate you as always, man. Enjoy your week off.
Until next week.
All right. So man, Jason Jones right there, of course, of the Athletic and J Street Vibes.